All right, Israel. So, Most High in Christ bless. And let's get in these scriptures pertaining to the fellowship under Yahweh Shai, being in one accord and one doctrine, being like-minded, having love one for another. So we're going to start in St. John 15 and 11, and it almost got away from me because I believe through the Spirit these things are going to be beautiful. Every joint supplied. The brothers brought out some good points, and we're going to roll and build off of that. And it's good to just have it on wax. Okay? Right now it's digital. It used to be on wax. Y'all don't understand that, on wax. Those were the old school records. When they used to freestyle and bust things or sing or whatever, they used to be like, man, I should have got that on wax. I mean, they should have recorded it. Therefore, they could have been able to play it back. All right? So St. John 15 and 11. Go ahead.
St. John 15 and 11. These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you.
So Yahweh Shai is telling the disciples that he wants these things to remain inside of them, that he would be happy with them. Okay, and that's the joy that I'm seeking, that the Most High in Christ be happy with us. And in order for that to happen, it's something that we've got to do. We've got to make these sacrifices. Go ahead.
And that your joy might be full.
And that our joy might be full. That means that we would end up doing what? We would end up being happy. Okay? So we've got to perform, when we have to perform an acceptable performance in order to please the Most High, and then in order for the Most High to do what? Make us happy. Go ahead.
This is my command.
He said, this is what I want from you.
That you love one another.
See that? That what?
That you love one another.
That you love one another. And loving one another, man, you know what it takes? It takes sacrifice. It takes commitment. One of the first things to show love from one brother to the next is communication. That's one of the first things that you have to do. Because you don't open up to a person that you don't communicate with. You can't get to know a person that you don't communicate with. You've got to communicate. The Most High said with these type of sacrifices, he's well pleased with that. Okay? So remember that we've got to communicate. You've got to know how this brother doing. What's up with this brother? Okay. Is this brother doing good? When he's making mistakes, yo, brother, you're making a mistake. So if we don't like that side, then what should we do? Keep the commandments. And then we don't have to worry about that. And so then the communication is going to be constantly some good news. But hey, you can't escape what's common to all men. So it's going to be times to when it's going to be times the water. Let me know if that works. It's going to be times when you're not doing so well. And when you're not doing so well, you got to speak on it. Okay? And then speaking on it, that's when that person's going to be there to help you, to say something to you. But what happens if you lack that ability to communicate, and then you finally run across a brother and he asks you how you doing or what's going on? The first thing that come out your mouth is going to be what? A lie. It's going to be a lie. Because you want this person to know, hey, you fighting a fight. Yeah, you fighting a fight, and you might mean it in that aspect, but he can assume you're fighting a fight. He want to know if you having any problems. And if you are having some problems together as brothers, hey, let's help each other out. See, you want to spend your time doing that? You know? Or do you want to spend your time never knowing anybody, but you spend all of your time knowing what? Knowing who? knowing everybody. That doesn't work for you, does it? Does that help you? It don't help you to quote, yeah, I know Reuben. You seen the video. Oh, I know Ephraim. You talked to him on the phone. You just greeted him. Oh, I know Simeon. You brush shoulders with him. Oh, I know Issachar. Second-hand or third-party introduction. Oh, I know Asher. You saw him before. I know Naphtali. You heard of him. Oh, I know Gad. You see what I'm saying? You never really settled down. You never applied the scriptures. You know everybody. Can't nobody help you. No, you can't love anybody. Nobody loves you. In order to love one another, it takes communication. Now you can, in your own mind, because you've been around 2 years, think you know it all. Or you can listen to somebody that's been around 20 years and they know a little bit. The choice is up to you. Knowing of these people, knowing of these brothers, that's one thing. Knowing a brother, that person that you know, that person will show love and will help you. Okay? So now let's read that part again.
Verse 12.
Uh-huh.
This is my commandment, that you love one another.
This is my commandment. So Christ gave us a commandment. And we to do what? We to love one another. Okay? Go ahead.
As I have loved you.
You see that? As he loved us. So with these men here, was he present or was he absent? Yeah. He was present. Okay? You're like, how is that? Can you hear him now?
I didn't really hear him. It sounds like it's drowning out. Might be the mic. Maybe you have to face it more.
Okay, let me ask. Nadiana, can you hear Yashala pretty good?
Khan, I can hear him.
Yeah, you can hear him pretty good, huh?
Khan.
Yeah. It might. I don't know, good boy. You think it could be the phone?
I hear you, but I hear you really well.
You hear me, but you don't hear him.
I hear him, but it sounds like it's drowning out. Let him keep reading. I'll tell you.
I don't want to. No, ain't no room. So we had a big table. Okay, let him turn it up and see what happens. Okay. Oh, I'll take the mic. Well, no, that ain't gonna do. Let him. He'll read a little bit louder and see what happens. Cause he's like right in front of me. Okay. Go ahead, Al.
Verse 12. This is my commandment, that ye love one another, as I have loved you.
Right. This is my commandment. So now, that you have love one for another. So how did Christ love them? Let's get the book of Mark. The book of Mark, chapter 14. In verse 49.
This is Mark 14 and 49. I was daily with you in the temple teaching.
So Christ was daily, okay, with these men in the temple teaching. He was daily with these men. These men were with him every day. Okay, so of course, didn't they develop love? Was Christ with everybody that knew that they was Israel? No, he wasn't. He was daily with those men whom he named the 12. He was daily with them. You brothers we must communicate constantly. Okay? Read that part again.
I was daily with you in the temple teaching.
I was daily. That's all we want. Now he's cutting the scribes and Pharisees because they coming up against him. But you know he wasn't by himself. He had the disciples with him daily. Okay, let's go back to St. John. St. John chapter 15.
Back to St. John, chapter 15, in verse 13.
Mm-hmm.
Greater love has no man than this.
Greater love have no man than this, meaning there's no greater love that we can express. Listen closely. There's no greater love than you can express. There's nothing greater than you can display. Okay? You can display. He's going to teach us something. Come on.
That a man lay down his life for his friend.
That a brother, that a man do what? Lay down his life. When you lay down your life, okay, that means you got to stop sinning, brothers. You've got to stop sinning to be a part of this unit. You've got to lay that down because you say, you know what? I want to qualify. Right? Who don't understand that? Okay? Who don't understand that, man? We've got to qualify. Okay? Read that part again.
Greater love has no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friend.
Exactly. There is nothing else that you can do. Okay? There's nothing else that you can do. We all know our personal battles, our personal demons. Okay? Our personal demons. We all know what we deal with, what we have to go through, what we're fighting off, what we're living. Guess what? You got to stop it, You got to stop it so that you could be a part of this fellowship. Because we're building this fellowship. We're building this fellowship so that it could be blameless, unrebukable, flawless. Okay? And it won't be nothing or nobody that could deny that we are the men of the Most High, that we are Christ's apostles, that we are Christ's disciples. But it starts with the way that we deal who? With Israel on the street, as we stand on street corners? Does that where it start? Does it start with us being on Facebook? You know where it starts? It starts in your mind. With you being able to make a personal decision to do something, and the next step, you're doing it. Why? Because you know what? I want in. I want into that fellowship. And it starts with you communicating and developing what is Christ saying is going to develop. It's going to develop love. You understand? It's going to develop love for each other. Okay? Read on.
Ye are my friends, if ye do whatsoever I command.
It says, greater love have no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. I had something before we move on to that. Philippians 3. Yo, any better?
Yeah, I can hear him.
Okay. Philippians 3 and 8.
Philippians chapter 3 and verse 8. Yea, doubtless, and I count all things but loss, for the excellency of the knowledge of Yahweh, my Lord.
Wait a second. Philippians 3 and 8. So who's this talking? This is Paul. He said, yeah, doubtless. He said, don't question me. I want in. You see that? What was the thing about Paul? Paul knew who he was. Okay, he knew he was a Pharisee, right? He knew what sect he was from. He knew what tribe he was. He knew about those other brothers. And he said, nah, I ain't worried about them. I found where I'm supposed to be at. He said, you ain't going to doubt me. He said, yeah, doubtless. Okay, read the 7th verse.
Verse 7. But what things were gained to me, those I counted loss. But
what things were gained to me, what was gained to him? Go to verse, I'll read it. Check this out. Verse 4, it says, though I might also have confidence in the flesh, if any other man thinketh that he have whereof he might trust in the flesh, I'm more. He said, I'm more than you. So now if you think that you are a part of something important, Paul said, man, I can brag. He said, I more have confidence in the flesh. I know where I come from. I know who I am. I know my friends. I know my clique. I know Israel. He said, I know more. I feel confident even more than you. But you know what he did? For the truth and for those that worship the Most High in spirit and truth, he was able to see that. He walked away from that. Circumcised the 8th day of the stock of Israel, of the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew of Hebrews. And touching the law, he said the law. He said a cone-stole Pharisee. He said because the Pharisees straight, the spirit that they had on them, we're right. And we know we're right. And you can't change us. He's a Pharisee. Now, we all know when we read the scriptures that the Pharisees were straight hypocrites, but they were only hypocritical because they were self-righteous. They developed a hardened shell around them to where they knew that they were right. And it ain't no man alive. If you was in them days, you wouldn't even be able to tell the Pharisees that they were wrong because Christ did it. And they still was hypocrites. He said concerning zeal, persecuting the church. He said, we're right as Pharisees. We know the law. And those that are in the church that's following the Most High, they were wrong. I wonder if y'all smell what I'm stepping in. He said they were wrong. So Paul and the Pharisees, his brothers, he said, man, I was a part of something. And we knew what we were. We know we were right, but they were straight wrong. Because they were waivers. And I'm trying to show you, brothers, not to be waivers. And it starts mentally in the mind. Okay? Touching the righteousness, which is of the law. What word did that say? Wait a second. What word does that say?
Blameless.
Yo, who's on conference, brother? What word does that man say that them Pharisees were?
Blameless.
Blameless. Yo, were the Pharisees blameless, brother?
No.
Hell no. No. You read Matthew 23. Is that right? Matthew 23? Yeah. Christ called them hypocrites. So how many men do y'all know that walk around like they blameless? That's what the Spirit is showing you, brother. Don't get shook. Leave that alone. Focus on what you're hearing and and the task at hand and what you need to do. Because the Most High is going to teach us how to please Him. He's going to teach us how to forsake sin. Everybody is focused on science. Everybody is focused on deep history. Everybody is focused on mysteries. But they're not concerned on their house, on themselves, on the commandments truly, on the laws, on the plan. They're not focused on that. Okay? Let's get that for those that don't know the mind state of the Pharisees. He said, man, I'm a Pharisee, and what? And the law, he said, blameless. Matthew 23:1.
The book of Matthew, chapter 23, and verse 1. Then spake Yahushua to the multitude, and to his disciples.
Come on.
Saying,
Come on.
the scribes and the Pharisees.
The scribes and who?
The Pharisees.
The scribes and Paul and all of his clique. Go ahead.
Sit in Moses' seat.
Sit in Moses' seat. So now Paul was a Pharisee during the time that Christ said this. Come on.
All therefore, whatsoever they did, you observe.
He said, whatever they did, you did means command. He said, go ahead and do it because it's the word of the Most High. Come on.
That observe and do.
He said, okay, observe it and do, because they're going to be saying some things that are right. Go ahead.
But do not.
But what? You got to slow it down at certain times. Know it. Feel it. Emphasize it. But do not ye after their works. He said, don't follow their examples. This is what I'm trying to tell us. This is why you have to walk in this truth cautiously. Okay? Cautiously. Don't just, make sure I say this decently. Don't just open your heart to every spirit. The heart is your mind. Okay? The heart is the window, man, to your soul, to your spirit. You can't just open that up, brother. You have to be careful. He said, but do you not after their works? Why? Read it.
For they say and do not.
For they say and do not. So when we go back to Philippians 3, look how Paul said the Pharisees, even, he said, Pharisees, he said, I was blameless. Paul wasn't blameless, man. How you blameless persecuting the church? Okay? Verse 7, Philippians 3 and 7.
Philippians 3 and 7. But what things were gained to me? So
now once he learned, because he thought all that was a gain. Was any of that positive? Was any of that a gain? How do you find a gain persecuting the church, having some form of zeal that's not after righteousness, and being a hypocrite but thinking that you blameless? How is that a gain? That's how a lot of people are. He said, but what things were gained to me, see that life that he thought was a positive, come on. Those he counted lost, because if it was real and if it was true, the Most High would have never had him to get rid of it, would he? No, but there is nothing greater than you can do to get rid of it. You think it's a game. You think it's worth keeping. You think it's worth holding on to. This man had to forsake brothers. This man had to forsake. Get the book of Romans. Romans chapter 9. And Romans chapter 9 and verse 2.
Romans 9 and 2. That I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart.
So Paul said he had a great heaviness and a continual sorrow in his heart. Okay, let's see who he's thinking about. Come on.
For I could wish that myself were accursed from your house. For my brethren.
For who?
My brethren.
So who is he thinking about?
His brethren.
He's thinking about those Pharisees. Okay? Because he knows that they're in a lot of trouble. Okay? He knows that they still think that they blameless. They still think that they right. So do you think that Paul is continuing to walk up behind them and listen to them and follow them? No. Paul forsook them, man. He forsook them. That's what we're reading about in Philippians. He forsook them for the fellowship. Okay? Go ahead.
My kinsmen, according to the flesh.
My who?
My kinsmen.
He said, these are my brothers. He said, these are my folks. These are my relatives. These are my kinsmen. Okay? He said, and these according to what?
Flesh.
According to the flesh. Now, as a reward for doing that, let's get 1 Peter. It ain't gonna be 1 Peter, it's gonna be 2 Peter 3. 2 Peter 3 and verse 15.
2 Peter. And the cup that the long suffering even as our beloved brother Paul, also according to the wisdom given unto him, and written unto you.
You see that? So now it says, an account of the long suffering of our Lord of salvation, even as our beloved brother Paul, also according to the wisdom given unto him. So because Paul did that and decided to come into that fellowship, what happened? Bahaya, what happened?
Gained wisdom.
He gained wisdom. He gained the true wisdom. Okay. Now, after gaining the true wisdom, he was able to go back. He was able to go back and reprove those and teach those that he once walked away from, because he knew that they had a wavering spirit. Everybody understand that? Let's get to the book of Acts. Acts chapter 15, and I'll read it. I'm going to skip around. I just want to get to a couple points. Acts 15 and 1. It says, and certain men which came down from Judea taught the brethren. See? So who are these? These are the scribes and Pharisees. This ain't Paul and them. And said, except you be circumcised after the law of Moses, you could not be saved. When therefore Paul and Barnabas had no small disputation and disputation with them, they were determined that Paul and Barnabas and certain other of them should go up to Jerusalem and unto the apostles and elders about this question. And being brought on their way by the church, they passed through Phoenicia, Samaria, declaring the conversion of the Gentiles. So Paul and Barnabas was telling on how Israel that was scattered amongst the nations, how they were changing, and in the process that they were going through. So now what is Paul doing? Remember those same brethren according to the flesh, his kinsmen? That's who Paul is teaching now. He was once with them, but the Most High and Yahushua has now given him wisdom and understanding to now deal with them. That's why I'm telling you, brothers, you know what? Focus on the Spirit. Focus on what the Most High is trying to deal with you. Focus on, like when we go back to St. John 15, focus on those steps that the Most High is dealing with you in. It says they caused great joy unto all the brethren. Who caused great joy? Paul and Barnabas caused great joy because now they taught. Okay, they taught. They was able to teach. They was able to correct the Gentiles and those men. It says, and when they were come to Jerusalem, they were received of the church and of the apostles and the elders, and they declared all things that the Most High had done with them. Okay, but there rose up certain of the sect of the Pharisees which believed. See that word Pharisees. So that shows you this is the group that Paul came from, saying that it was needful to circumcise them and to command them to keep the law of Moses. So it goes on and on. So what is Paul and them doing now? Every time these men come up, Paul and them is correcting them. That's what I want to show you, brothers, how to do. But first, we got to make sure that nobody is confusing us. Nobody is confusing you. Okay? Let's leave this, and let's go back to where we left off at. You can read this on your own. Yes, these men, they brought out great understanding in this on how to deal with that circumstance at hand with the Gentiles on not giving them more than they can chew. Okay, so let's go back to St. John 15. All right. So, St. John 15, and no. He's at Philippians, right? Yeah. Yeah, that was the point. Let's go back to Philippians.
Back to Philippians, chapter 3, and verse 7.
Mm-hmm.
But what things were gained to me, those I counted loss for the house.
That's right. So now that we understand what things were gained to him, Nagiana, you with me? Still up?
I'm here. I got my phone. My phone was on mute.
Okay. So when you said what things were gained to me, so do we understand what things were gained to Paul? That lifestyle, on how he knew people, and all of that fame and glory and all them and all of that. That's what was a gain to him. We just showed that in the scriptures, right? Okay. He said he counted it loss for Christ. Christ brought him into the love of the brethren. Okay. That's what we're building. Y'all brothers understand that? Bahar, you understand that, brother?
Con.
Okay. Verse 8. He said, without a doubt. Don't even worry about me. Without a doubt will I give this life. I gave that life up when I understood it. Come on.
And I count all things but loss for the excellency of the knowledge.
Of what?
Of the knowledge.
He said, of the knowledge. He said, I count it all nothing for the knowledge. Okay. Go ahead.
Of Yahushua.
Of the Most High. Of Yahushua. Go ahead.
My Lord.
Come on.
For whom I have suffered the loss of all things.
He said, man, I've suffered the loss of all things. I put it down. I put it down. I will not pick it up. I see, I know, I understand. That's what we got to do. But you can only do that. You can only do that to yourself. Okay? You can only do that yourself. You can only, because no man can make us do anything. Okay? No man can make us do anything. We've got to be willing. We've got to be willing to do it ourselves. Okay? This brother, man, Paul had been caught up in some bad stuff, man, during his life. Okay? He had been caught up in some bad stuff. And, all praises to the Most High that he had given him a spirit to repent, okay, and to come up out of that, all right, huh? Just like here's it. Like give Acts 7. Acts chapter 7 and Acts chapter 7 and 54. I'll read it and then give it to y'all. It says, when they heard these things, they were cut to the heart, and they gnashed on him with their teeth. So now, this is Stephen, who died teaching the scriptures. He cut Israel. I'm going to go up to verse 51. Acts 7:51. You stiff-necked and uncircumcised in heart and ears, ye do always resist the Holy Ghost. As your fathers did, so do ye. So they were always resisting the correction of the scriptures. And the spirit that would make them change, they was always not wanting it. They just was rebellious and hard-headed. So he was saying this. It says, which of the prophets have not your fathers persecuted? So he's saying this openly to Israel. This is Stephen. And they have slain them which showed before of the coming of the just one, of whom ye have been now the betrayers and murderers. So they killed John the Baptist. They killed the prophets. They said, you have slain. Which of the prophets have not your fathers persecuted? And they have slain them which showed before of the coming of the just one. Okay? Of whom you have been now the betrayers, and who? Murderers, who have received the law by the disposition of angels and have not kept it. And when they heard these things, they were cut to the heart and gnashed on him with their teeth. But he, being full of the Holy Ghost, looked up steadfastly into heaven and saw the glory of the Most High, and Yahushua standing on the right hand of the Most High. So he's seeing in the spirit world. He out there prophesying. He looking up. They clueless on what he's seeing. And his spirit is full, brother, of rage and vexation of their wicked deeds. He didn't hold his peace or bite his tongue. And said, behold, I see the heavens open, and the Son of Man standing on the right hand of power. Then they cried out with a loud voice and stopped their ears. Listen to what the crowd did. And ran upon him with one accord, and cast him out of the city and stoned him. And the witnesses laid down their clothes at the young man's feet, whose name was what?
Paul.
Saul. Who do you think that Saul was? Paul. See what kind of life this man been through? He was there at the killing of this just man, Stephen. Saul was there. And they stoned Stephen, calling upon the Most High. So they thought they doing a good thing. They stoned his brother. And Saul was right there. And saying, Hamashiach, Yahushua, so receive my spirit. No, I'm sorry. And they stoned Stephen, calling upon God, saying, Hamashiach shall receive my spirit. So that's him saying that. So he kneeled down and cried with a loud voice, Hamashiach, lay not this sin to the charge. And when he had said thus, he fell asleep. That means he died. So chapter 8 and 1, read that out.
Chapter 8, verse 1.
Come on.
And Saul was consenting unto his death.
And Saul was what?
Consenting unto his death.
So how was the man blameless? He wasn't blameless, huh? You see what I'm saying? Look at the zeal that he had. Saul was consenting to his death. Okay? So now it says, and at that time there was a great persecution against the church, which was at Jerusalem. Okay? And they were all scattered abroad throughout the regions of Judea and Samaria, except who? Except the apostles. Except the apostles. I'm trying to put and stir our memory, brothers, to be diligent, to be still, and to be firm, and to make these sacrifices that you see a lot of the multitude of brothers in Israel, they not making out. Okay? They not making. Okay. A question? Go ahead. Talk loud so they can hear you.
I want to know when this just said, chapter 8, verse 1, and Saul was consenting unto his death. Is that his spiritual death, or then he was God with the death and he was
Stephen got stoned to death and he lost his life. And Saul was right there with them. The man is dead. So, does it answer it? Do you know what? You agree. You agree. That's what consent means, to agree. So he was agreeing with them. Okay, he's agreeing with them. Okay, so that was before Christ dealt with Saul and changed his name to Paul. You understand? So this is the type of person that he was. Okay, so we can't be that type of person. And the point is there are men that's alive now that in their mind they think they're right. Okay, and they reason with sin. Okay, they reason with sin. Those men are heady. Those men are proud. Okay, you have to avoid that. Okay, to have fellowship with the Spirit of the Most High, you've got to be able to say, I will have no fellowship with pride. What is that? It's a precept that says that a man will have no fellowship. The Spirit will have no fellowship. That's what. Okay, let's keep going. You don't want to keep going? Okay, so let's go back to Philippians chapter 3.
So we go back to Philippians chapter 3 and verse 8. Yea, doubt, and I count all things but loss for the excellency of the knowledge of Yahweh my Lord. For whom I have suffered the loss of all things.
You see that? So, he said it, man, I'm losing all of that. I'm giving that up. Okay? I've suffered the loss of all things. Go ahead.
And do count them but dumb
Okay, come on.
That I may win your house.
He said that I might win. Okay? He wants to please Christ. That's what we've got to do. Okay? We have to make sure that we please Christ. Okay? Because you know who's the true bishop over the nation? Yahushua is. He's the true bishop. He's the head of this. And in order to please, in order to win Christ, it says Christ. In order to win Christ, we have to suffer that loss. We have to suffer that life, that with those waves, that communication, so that we ourselves can be better. There's no way that Paul, if he would have stayed in communications with the rest of Israel like that he could have been a part of the fellowship and unity that Christ was calling him into. There's no way he could have did that. Okay. Now, did he forget the fact that he knew them? No. He didn't forget the fact that he knew them. Yeah, I know him. But he cut those ties off. So you got to be willing to cut. You got to be willing to cut those ties. Okay. Go ahead. And be found in him. Come on.
Not having my own righteousness.
So that's the difference right there. He understood that before, when he was Saul and he was a Pharisee, that he had his own righteousness. So would he call himself a Pharisee now? The answer is no. No. He only called himself a Pharisee when you read the book of Romans. He only called himself a Pharisee so that he can try and gain who? The Pharisees. Okay. Go ahead.
Which is of the law.
Which is of what?
The law.
Right. Which is of the law. It says, look, and be found in him, not having my own righteousness. He says, which is of the law. Go ahead.
But that which is through the faith of Yahweh.
But that which is through the faith of Christ.
The righteousness which is of God by faith.
Okay. Come on.
That I may know him.
That I may get to know him. Okay. So how do we get to know the Most High? By keeping the commandments. Okay. The ones that men find hard to do. By being obedient and by laying down our lives. Because if we lay down our life, we gonna know him. That's what John 15 is about. Okay. It says in 11, hold them both. Go back to John 15 and 11. We're going to hold them both. We're going to skip between that and this precept here.
Back to John chapter 15 and verse 11. These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you.
You see that? Okay. So now, when you go back to Philippians chapter 3 and verse 9, it says, and be found in him, not having my own righteousness, which is of the law. No. Verse 10, that I may know him. Okay, so in order for us to know Christ, what do we have to do? Man, we've got to make sure that we keep these commandments, that our joy might be in him, and that it says, and that my joy might remain in you. Okay? So now, let's go back to, and hold it, because we're going to go back and forth. Philippians chapter 3 and verse 9, the latter part.
Philippians 3 and 9, last precept. But that which is through the faith of Yahweh, the righteousness which is of God by faith.
Go ahead.
That I may know him.
That I might know him. Go ahead.
And the power of his resurrection.
Right. So now, do we really know the power of his resurrection? Who experienced the resurrection? So now, for us to know the power of his resurrection is for us to do what? Blank the power of his resurrection. Somebody on conference. That we might blank the power of his resurrection. Because if you haven't experienced it, how you really know? What is it we're supposed to do concerning the power of his resurrection?
Believe.
There you go. That's it. Believe. You understand? Believe. And strongly believe. See? So being obedient and the next part.
And the fellowship of his suffering.
And the fellowship of his sufferings, by us being a partaker of the fellowships of his sufferings, will make us even want to believe even more, right? Because we want to be redeemed from our current situation, which is understanding those sufferings. Because without understanding this, we're going to begin to understand the sufferings of the Most High, right? Yeah, go ahead.
And after that, this is also going into the last class when we were dealing with Ephesians 6, when through the Spirit, it was broken down pertaining to the helmet of salvation. See, it ties into it. Because us believing in his resurrection is something that we have to do. Like when it says put that helmet of salvation on, that's also believing in his resurrection by what? By obtaining a victory. The victory of what? Ceasing from sin. So fully converted and then ceasing from sin.
Okay. The latter part of 10, it says, being made conformable. Right, conformable means you've been made, you've changed. You've changed unto him to where you act like him. You're going to do what he did. You're going to think like him. Being made conformable unto his death. Okay, you're like, well, what does unto his death mean? How long did he do it? To death. How long are you supposed to do it? How long did Stephen do it? That's right. Stephen shall resurrect. Okay. Now, the next part is going to help us understand when it's somehow concerning us believing in the power of the resurrection, because you have not experienced being resurrected. So you can only believe in it. Verse 11.
If by any means I might attain unto the resurrection.
He said, so by this, if by any means I might attain to the resurrection of the dead, because he believes. So I have to believe so that it can bring forth this resurrection from the dead.
And put it on the speaker.
Okay, so let's go back to St. John 15. St. John 15 in verse, when it says 12, that this is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. So we have to understand that we've got to love, we have to respect and love this fellowship of the Spirit enough to where the next part, when it says greater love that have no man than this, that a man lay down his life, that means you're going to quit sinning because you want into this. You are my friends if you do whatever I command you. He said you made it if you do what? That's right. You made it if you lay down your life. If you don't lay down your life, are you going to make it? You're not going to be a part of this. Who don't understand this? And there are a lot of men that have not did this. But they think that they're a part of this. They think that they're right. And they're wrong. So the Most High sees something in each and every last one of us. So during the time of Christ, when Christ was walking, there were millions of people, hundreds of thousands of Israelites. There are a lot of people. But how many at a certain significant amount of time did the Most High give to Christ? Now, we know that there was a mixed multitude of believers. But how many did he bring in for the apprenticeship? I figured y'all would get that. That's right, 12. Yeah. St. John 17. St. John 7 and start at verses 5.
St. John chapter 17, 5. And now, O Father, glorify thou me with thine own self, with the glory which I had with thee before the world was. I have manifested thy name unto the men which thou gavest me out of the world.
So out of all the people that's in the world of Israel, men. Okay? There were some men that the Most High gave to us. There was a lot of people. But he chose a unique few. Why am I stressing this? Because we might be few in numbers, and I don't want you to be shook about that. It's never been a big thing for the Most High to deliver a big host using a few. Okay? So now I get Matthew 10. Matthew 10 and 1, I read it. It says, and when he called unto him his 12 disciples. Why ain't he boasting about 300? Why ain't he boasting about 50? Why isn't there a necessity? Why isn't there a necessity to be 150? Okay? Why? So with this amount, just Christ and 12 other men, how many people today would think that these men are getting it wrong or something is wrong? Huh? Y'all do it. I mean, I know we're gonna keep moving, but I want you to consider that, meditate on that, think about this thing. 12 men. You see a small number, and today, the way things are, you see a lot of places with big numbers. Surely the Spirit is among them because they got the numbers. The numbers prove that the Spirit is among them. The scriptures say what quicken it? The what? The Spirit. But what is the Spirit, brother? What is the Spirit? Answer that. What is the Spirit? Nagiana, what is the Spirit? Gaboria, what is the Spirit?
The Spirit, like it says in, I'll get it in a second in the book, it says that those that do the will of my Father, those are my brothers, my sisters, and my mother.
Okay, that's correct, but let's stay with the lesson. What did Christ tell us today? What did we read in John 15?
To do His commandments.
Doing the commandments? How many times you know people, they say, I'm doing the commandments? What else? That's right. So both of them, some of them being right, but let's keep on adding our ingredients to get what we want. What else?
Loving your brother as yourself.
There you go. Well,
laying down your life for your brother.
Yes.
Right.
Those ingredients there. That you have love, okay, and that you're gonna lay down your life. And we know what laying down our life is. I'm not gonna call you to Missouri and put you in the middle of a gunfight and you got to jump in front of a bullet. No. I'm gonna stop sinning so that I can continue the fellowship. That's the love right there. We didn't get to that part. Let's get it now, and then we're gonna come back and deal with these 12. Let's see. This is it. St. John 15, or is it 13 and 15? Like one. St. John. St. John chapter 34, no, St. John 13, 34. This is the same love that Yahushua is speaking of in St. John 15. Now, this is so important. I don't want you to miss it. Because Christ walked around with how many men? He walked around with 12 men. He didn't need 3,000. He didn't need 50. He didn't need 500. He didn't need to boast on how there are so many disciples. There are so many believers. Look at what work was put. He didn't need that. Because he knew that the seed that he was planting was going to grow, man. It was going to grow, and it did grow, and it did multiply. Okay? St. John 13:34 says, a new commandment I give unto you, that you love one another. And we've been through what loving one another is about. As I have loved you, so remember, he wasn't self-willed. Anything that would have been selfish, he said, no. If I do that, that's not loving this brother. That's not loving my brother. That's going to teach them the wrong thing. It says that ye also love one another, verses 35. Here's the point. Here's the point. Don't miss it. Listen for it. Read it. By doing this, go ahead.
Shall all men.
Shall who?
All men.
Shall all men, come on. No, come on.
That ye are my disciples.
That you are my disciples. When you have the ability to do that, and it's going to create that love for each other, it's going to create, it's going to create a spirit. It's going to create a unity. It's going to create an understanding. It's going to bring forth so much wisdom because the Most High is going to back you. And all men, all the men, all the sects, everybody knew that the 12 were Christ's followers. They was his disciples because they got this. How many of you get this? How many of you see this and understand this? It doesn't take numbers. It takes self-commitment. Okay? So now let's go back to Matthew 10.
Back to Matthew 10 and 1. And when he had called unto him his 12 disciples.
Stop. Verse 2.
Now the names of the 12 apostles are first Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew his brother.
I'll get it. And James the son of Zebedee, and John his brother, Philip, Bartholomew, Thomas, and Matthew the publican, James the son of Alphaeus, and Labius, whose surname was Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanite, and Judas Iscariot, who also betrayed him. These 12 Yahushua sent forth. These 12 Yahushua sent forth. So he didn't need a big mountain. Could he have did that? Yes. And did he at another time? Yes. But these men went out and did what? These men went out and taught other men. Okay, get the book of Hebrews. Chapter 12. No, chapter 13. When it's time for you to be teachers. Hebrews 5, all right. A while ago. Right, Hebrews chapter 5 and verse. Says many things. What do we see? It says 11.
Hebrews 5 and 11. Of whom we have many things to say, and hard to be uttered, seeing ye are dull of hearing.
So there are a lot of men that was what? They didn't understand, and they was dull of hearing. Meaning you be telling them, but their ears wasn't as sharp. They wasn't good listeners because they thought that they were right in the way. Come on.
But when for the time ye ought to be teachers.
So now, what type of men was Paul telling this to? Men that thought that they were what?
Teachers.
Yeah. So now he's teaching who? The teachers. Okay? That's what we want to do. We want to teach men. We want to teach everybody. Those that don't know and those that think they do know. In order for that to happen, we've got to be perfect. We got to be blameless. We got to follow this simple protocol. I mean, it's simple, but work on those basics. It'll come to pass that we will wax bold and great in spirit, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Okay? And we got so great of a counsel with us, which is what? One another. Okay? That's it. Okay? But we can finish it. I'll finish it. It says, you have need that one teach you again. So we will have the ability to go in and teach men again. Teach them to start over. Teach them how to do it. You brothers will be surprised how many of these men in Israel, after dealing with them, they'd be like, Yohan, teach me this. They ask me, teach me this. Show me how to do this. How do you do that? What does this mean? But, that's fine. I want to teach other brothers to be the same way. But you know what it starts with? It starts with discipline. You got to discipline yourself to do the hard things, man. Forsake your own desires, your own mind, your own lust. You have to be diligent and faithful in keeping these commandments. Okay, you'll get some action. A lot of men want to get off the bench and get into the game. It takes patience, trust. You're going to get yours. You're going to get some action. It is going to be according to the will of the Most High and not according to you. Because if you jump up and jump out there, you're only going to make yourself a laughing stock. The Most High can't use a man with pride like that. When we read the scriptures, all the men, when Israel during hostile times, they tried to make themselves a name for themselves and won the glory, they always got themselves destroyed. They always got themselves killed. Okay. So it says, you have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of the Most High. So these men had to do what? They had to start over. Okay? And all become such as have need of what? Milk. That was the law. So that's the same thing I'm sharpening, stay sharp in what? The laws. Okay? And not strong meat. Okay? Not deep sayings, or not the situation to where you're going to insert yourself as a master in Israel. No. A lot of these men, that's what make a false prophet. For everyone that uses milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness. For everyone that needs the laws and needs to be corrected, because you're using the milk. It says, for he is a babe. It doesn't matter how he looks. He's a babe. Go through these things now. Therefore, you'll find wisdom to your old age. It says, but strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age, meaning perfect, blameless. It says, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised, meaning they went through it to discern both what went right and what's wrong. Okay, so when you go through an exercise, that means you go through an experience. Was you obedient? Or did you have a frown on your face? Did you fail and then turn around and be like, oops, my bad, I'm going to do it, I'll see and understand. That don't cut it. You still a babe. Okay? Some carnal. You got a superstar. You got a basketball player that thinks he's a superstar. If he missed a game-winning shot, is he a superstar? Did he choke? Or did he win? He choked. Okay? If you got somebody that buckles under pressure, you still gonna are they still a star? Did they choke? They buckled, they folded. Even the scriptures say, if thou faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is what? Thy strength is small, brother. Your strength ain't great. The day of adversity is when it counts. I know a brother that say you're only as good as your last action. So what are you, the Most High is about, what are you going to do for me? What have you done for me lately? You can't proclaim last week's righteousness or yesterday's righteousness. The Most High wants you to be righteous now. He wants you to have the ability to be strong today. When tribulation and adversity and temptation look you in the face, you have to be strong. That's what's going to make the difference. That's what's going to make you meet for the Most High's use. That's what's going to give you experience. That's the wisdom. That's going to give you age. So you don't look on the countenance of a person, neither the number of days. Actions. You're going to weigh actions, and you're going to judge righteously. And if you somebody that has a winning record, you're going to be able to be used. You're going to step up, and you're going to be able to say, yo, brother, you don't respect no man's person. You don't be at all for no man. So, brother, just what the Most High said. This is what needs to be done. Okay? So now let's lose this. And lose in St. John. We can lose that. Let's get the book of Philippians, the first chapter. Philippians 1 and 27.
Philippians chapter 1 and verse 27.
Mm-hmm.
Philippians 1 and 27. Only let your conversation be as it becometh the gospel of Yahweh.
That's right. So everything that we talk about, only let your conversation be as becometh the gospel of Yahweh, of the Christ. That's what we talk about. Okay, we're going to talk to people. That's what we need to be known as. That is the person that talks about what? The scriptures. You talk to somebody about the scriptures, know what you're saying. You know what's going to make your conversation strong? Communication, fellowship. You don't know what this means. Okay, go ahead.
That whether I come and see you or else be absent, I may hear of your affairs.
I may know that you're doing the right thing. That's what Paul is saying. Go ahead.
That he stands fast in one spirit.
So he wants the Philippians to stand fast in one spirit. We must stand fast in one spirit. And that spirit is a spirit of the Most High and Yahweh, a spirit of righteousness. Okay? Having the same judgment, the same outcome, being able to say the same thing. What would Christ do in this situation? Okay? A month ago, we went through a rocky situation with a brother that we walked away from, and most I know this ain't about him, but I had to use this as an example. So I asked the brothers, I said, yo, with this man doing this on a weekly, a monthly, or bi-monthly, or annually, or quarterly time period, would Yahweh shall walk with him every day? The brother said, no. I said, that's your answer. You understand what I'm saying? That's the answer right there. That's how you know. So we've got to have this. We have to be able to say the same thing. That's not confusing to us. You understand? We can't. We have, when it comes to feelings and emotions, what do we have to do with that? What do we do with our feelings and emotions? Bahaya. Using the scriptures.
I wouldn't know on using the scriptures like
Okay. Nagayama, what do you do according to the scriptures with your feelings and emotions? Using the scriptures. Gabaria.
Proverbs 3.
You said Proverbs 3?
Done.
I'm curious. Proverbs 3 and what,
3. I'm sorry, 3 and 6. I believe it's 3 and 6. Let me look at it. 3 and 5. 5.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. We'll read it and then get something else that I got. I'll give some other brothers an opportunity. Proverbs 3 and 5.
Trust in the Lord with all thy heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding.
Okay, so with your feelings, you ain't going to lean to your own understanding. Okay. Anybody else? Jamie? Okay. Do you know where it's at? Okay. Are you looking in 1 John 4? Okay. 1 John 3. First John 2 and 15. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Most High is not in him. Okay, so remember that your precept, 1 John 2, right? 15. Okay. Okay. So now the one that I was looking for, anybody else? When somebody talks about affection, the one that we should all commonly, and the other one was right, is Galatians 5:24. Because it deals with emotions. It deals with affections.
Galatians chapter 5 and verse 24. And they that are your hollow have crucified the flesh.
That means you have killed the flesh, meaning the sin. Go ahead.
With the affections.
And the affections and the emotions that you have for that sin. Go ahead.
And love.
Right, and the desires. So you belong to Christ, man. You put that thing to death. Okay? Read verse 25.
If we live in the Spirit.
Right, if we live in the Spirit, so if you walk every day in the Spirit, doing the right thing, go ahead.
Let us walk in the Spirit.
Let us walk, let us behave, let us think. Okay? Let all our desire be where? In the Spirit. Okay? So now, let's go back to Philippians chapter 1 and 27. At the latter part, it says that you stand fast in one spirit. All the brothers that we deal together constantly should be thinking the same thing. There's no way you should be saying anything differently than what another brother is saying. The only way we're going to get to that is one word. It begins with a C. What is that? Communication. Yes, the Spirit that quickened, we know that. But we have to communicate. Okay? With one mind. There it is right there. You see that? With one mind, striving how? Together. Striving together. So if we were out going for a job, okay? If we were out going for a job, how would we look? Everybody use your imagination. We were out going for a job, and we're trying to strive together. How would we look? Would we look like we're in a race? And you got somebody out front, way out front, laughing me, hey, I'm beating y'all. Somebody way behind. Or would we be in a pack, striving together? We should be in a pack, striving together. There's nothing to prove. I'm way out in front. We'll be striving how? We'll be jogging together at a pace. Because you got your brother to the left, you got your brother to the right, you got your brother close in front of you right there, and you got your brother right there behind you, right there close together, striving together. That's the unity. That's the exhortations and the humility. It says, for the faith of what? The gospel. We're striving together for the faith of this gospel that the Most High gave to us. Sisters, supposed to be the same way. See? Sisters exercise and job too. But us getting our family on this level, who has to go first? We've got to go first. So we got to get going. We've already started. We need to do what to it? We need to enhance it. Okay? Verse 28.
And in nothing terrified by your adversary.
See that? Wait a second. What was I telling brothers earlier? That precept goes with what was said. Yeah, being not shaken. What else did I say? Nagiana. Oh, he's gone. Okay. I said being not shaken. I thought I said something else to the brother. A different way I used it.
You said don't be fascinated.
I said don't be bright. Don't be fascinated. Yeah. No. You might have been in the kitchen, but I said it to him twice in a private conversation, and then on the phone when he was here. Don't be fascinated. I mean, I understand. Here it says don't be terrified by your adversaries. Okay. Now we might think being terrified means, to be scared. And terrified does mean be afraid. But a lot of times Israel, man, they can catch the vapors. I don't know if that's old school. I don't know if y'all know what that means. The vapors, man. You catch the vapors. You know how the aroma from something makes you interested? Like you might be hungry and you smell some a good lettuce wrap. That's supposed to make you live. I'm not gonna. Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. No, right. No meat, right? And you smell some good fried chicken, right? You say, wow. And you caught the vapors, man. The vapors, the smell, the aroma from that fried chicken has got you interested, right? Yeah. Well, a lot of men, man, you catch the vapors from the stuff that you see out here, and you be like, oh, man. Point in case. We tried dealing with some other brothers. Yo, Kabari, you still there? And Bahaya, y'all there, right?
Kana.
Remember those men that we corrected? And we said, listen, this brother here is the son of perdition. Why do you think those men constantly wanted to follow that brother even into destruction? What do you think they caught? They caught the vapors, man. Vainglory. They said, man, I want to be a part of that. Regardless of what the cost is. They say, I want fame. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right?
Con.
Yeah. Regardless of the report and the actions that you know, that you've heard, they say, man, I want to be a part of that. That's catching the vapors. So it says, and in nothing terrified by your adversaries. Anybody that's not going to keep the commandments is an adversary of Christ. Okay. Those men like that, they become enemies of the cross. We teach men like that. We don't get the vapors. Did the apostles catch the vapors to any man? Hell no, man. They were the help. Y'all understand, man? They built churches, brother. They were the help. They were the ones. They didn't stand in awe to any man. It was so few of them, they had to constantly be on the duck and move. Them cats was running, brother. They was being cursed and persecuted. Their life was on the line. They was speaking what was right, brother. They was outnumbered all the time. They were right. Okay? Read the next part.
Which is to them an evident token of perdition.
Go ahead.
But to you of salvation.
So now, striving together for the faith, one spirit, one mind, that's salvation to us. But for their sake, to them, that's an evident token of perdition. They see it as destruction. Okay. Go ahead.
And that of God. For unto you it is given in the behalf of your house.
So that one spirit, that one mind, striving together for the faith, learning and having the ability to do it. That is given on the behalf of Christ. Go ahead.
Not only to believe on him.
Not only to believe on him. Go ahead.
But also to suffer for his sake.
But to suffer for his sake. Okay. Now, when it says to suffer for his sake, what do we think that means? To suffer for his sake. To suffer for his sake. Not only to believe on him, but to suffer for his sake. This thing. To suffer for his sake. Go ahead.
Suffer teaching somebody the truth and rightly.
Does it mean to suffer the truth and teach people for Christ's sake and not?
And they way, they may be right, and that it's right to do what they're doing the way they're doing it. You suffer teaching it to do.
It's got something to do with teaching. You're saying a lot of words. It's got something to do with teaching. So that part you got right. So we'll see what somebody else has to say to help figure it out. Okay. Anybody else? The brother said rub elbows with him. Help him out. Shout it up.
To suffer, but also to suffer for his sake, for us to get the experience and the knowledge and understanding, we have to go through the experiences, suffer to them to actually, start teaching people. We can't just teach and we're not actually doing the commandments, and we're not being, we're not taking the punishment that we deserve for our sins and learning from them. So if we're not going through all that, we're not really suffering. We're not getting the experience that we need. to actually understand, the commandments and what the truth is about.
Okay. Let me help y'all out. I'm gonna use an example. I'm gonna use an example using myself. Okay. So now let's say, for instance, y'all brothers come out here and it's the middle of the Passover, middle week of Feast of Unleavened Bread. Everybody's here. And let me name something excruciating, something that I do. We're going to put down some ceramic tile, then do some floors. And some of you brothers, and you don't have no knee pains or nothing like that, you might find it fun. It's excruciating to me. We got a big floor. And a lot of times I get on a project and I ain't leaving until it's finished. We're going to knock it off. I have to leave. Now, we all there working and working our butts off, and we're only going to eat when we leave, and we're tired, and the floor's got to get done. I've got to leave. So we're all suffering together. I'm suffering too, right? Right? But I have to leave, right? And you guys keep going. What do you feel like? You've got to keep going. How do you feel? What word do you describe to express how you feel? Suffering. Right? Suffering, right? Why are you suffering? Who got you that suffering? So you're suffering for whose sake? You're suffering for my sake, right? For what agenda? To finish what? So now apply it to the scriptures. Now you see it? You said come, but you see it? Okay, so now. So it says, for unto you is given on the behalf of Christ not only to believe on him, but also to do what? Suffer for his sake. So what does that mean? If you finish the floor for me, what are you going to do for Christ? Yes, that's true. That's true. You're going to teach Israel. Go ahead, Al.
Like, how you suffer for your hours trying to say, we're going to finish the course.
That's right. You're going to continue. You're going to continue what he did. Okay? Go ahead, Al.
And also because we remember what Yahushua did. So everything that Yahushua did, that's exactly what we're going to do. Yahushua finished his course. And who said Yahushua? The Heavenly Father. So we had to walk that all the way up to death. Likewise us. The course that we have to go through into the end. And also want to teach the people suffer affliction, suffer tribulation, suffer all the way around the board, because Yahushua did it, and we have to do it in the empire as well.
Okay, so shorten it up.
We have to finish the course unto the end and suffer in the midst of it by doing the things that he did.
See, okay, right. It's simply saying, no, you're good. Simply saying, we're repeating it. That's all. It's all right. Over and over, that's fine. We got to pick up where we left off at. So you think that you're suffering for Christ's sake. Hey, remember Paul said, I wish that I could for my brother, my kinsman according to the, but could he? The answer is no. So what makes you think you can? Can you die for Israel? Israel got one Savior. His name is the Yahushua. Okay, that's what we call him, right? So, we're not the Savior. So you're not suffering. You're not truly, down for Israel. You're picking up what Christ left off at. And the sufferings that he went through, you're going to go through them sufferings. We're going to go through them sufferings. But when you're talking about you picking up, you're suffering for him, for his sake, that means the work that he did, I mean, you're doing this because of what he did. So you here finishing what he left off at. The same way I would have left everybody on the job on that floor. They hungry and they suffering, legs hurting, tired, you know, getting up off the floor and getting back down on the floor and making sure it's right and mixing it. And they starving and hungry and they're like, man, you doing that suffering for one reason. And he said, man, I'm helping Sham. I'm helping Sham. That's the only reason. I'm doing this, man. I'm suffering. I'm helping Sham. I'm trying to finish this thing that he left. Well, man, you suffering for one reason. You know, I'm helping Christ. I'm leaving off where you know, I'm picking up where he left off at. And the same sufferings that he went through, like I was going through that, up and down and hurting, legs hurting, and you know, I had to be somewhere. You want to be somewhere else too. Well, you're gonna do the same thing for Christ. You're gonna go through a lot of different things that he went through, being evil spoken of, and teaching the scriptures, and it's falling on deaf ears and eyes that can't see and blind, and you got hypocrites, and you got people that don't want to hear. You got people that's listening and they turn it backwards, and then you got some believers, and you got some that don't believe. You got people that want to kill you. So all the sufferings that he went through, guess what? You're gonna go through those sufferings too, because you finishing the work that he started. Okay. So we understand that?
I got a precept.
Okay, I'll go ahead.
John 14:12.
Okay. The brother gonna read it for you, all right? You tell us what you see.
John 14:12. Verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I do shall he do also. And greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father.
Kind of, you know, like you're talking about the suffering, we're continuing his work, you know, so he's given us, because we believe in him, he's given us the power to continue what he did, and even greater things, you know. Because you know, Yahweh Shai, when he was on the earth, he was on that side. He was over there in Israel, you know. But he's given us the opportunity to go to the ends of the world and teach to teach the word, you know, to teach his testimony in the laws. You know, we're going further than when he first came, you know, through in his name.
Oh, you want verse 13 too, out? Yeah. Did you say verse 13?
No, yeah, kind of, verse 13.
Verse 13. And whatsoever ye shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son.
Kind. You know, so, you know, we're asking to do the work, you know, to get, you know, to be strong, to get wisdom, you know, to get more knowledge, you know, to be, you know, in the same mind as Christ. You know, I'm sure it's not talking about getting cars and houses, but, you know, actually getting the same strength so that we can continue in Christ's footsteps to glorify the Father.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now, from there, that's it, brother?
Could I add a little something, Mark?
Yeah, brother, go ahead.
John 15:20.
John chapter 15.
No, he said 13. Did you say 13 now?
No, 15:20.
Okay, John 15. He heard it right. Okay, so I can.
John 15 and verse 20. Remember the word that I said unto you. The Son is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my faith, they will keep yours also.
Yeah, kind of. We're definitely going to go through, similar things as Yahushua went for keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments and teaching them. Most definitely.
Right. Okay. So now, that's it. Philippians chapter 2. Okay, Philippians chapter 2 and verse 1.
Philippians chapter 2 and verse 1. There be therefore any consolation in your house, in any comfort of love, in any fellowship of the Spirit, in any bowels of mercy. Fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord, of one mind.
See that? So if there be any consolation, if any of us feel that we've got a prize in Christ, comfort in Christ, comfort of love, if any fellowship of the Spirit and vows and mercy. So we all feel that this is the Spirit that we have. Then we've got to fulfill the joy and be what? And be like-minded, having the same love from brother to brother. Okay? It says, being of one accord, being of one mind. Okay, so it won't be schisms, sects, favoritisms. Okay, it says, let nothing be done through strife. Did you get to that part yet? Verse 3? Okay, go ahead.
Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in holiness of mind, let each esteem other better than themselves.
That's right. With lowliness of mind, have respect one for another, and let each esteem other better than themselves. What that means is that you're supposed to be able to see qualities in the men that you know you don't possess. Okay? You're supposed to be able to see that. But you can't, but the only way we're going to be able to recognize that is if we actually know each other. Okay. We should learn to know one another's heart. Because if we got the same heart and the same mind and the same spirit, okay, and we have the same fellowship of the Spirit, and our vows are like, and our mercies, our intentions are alike, and our comfort of love are alike. Is we're building to that. When it comes to esteeming each other, you're going to be able to see those that excel. You should be able to see that brother is of an excellent spirit. That's an excellent spirit. That brother has a unique quality. That brother has a gift. The Most High has blessed my brother. The Most High has given him this. Just like Peter. Although many like to say that Peter was Christ's favorite and his chosen, when it came to Paul, what did he do? Did he give it up to Paul? Yes, sir. What did he say? Let's get it. 2 Peter 3.
Second Peter chapter 3
and 15. We'll start at the very part where it says, even as our beloved brother.
Second Peter 3 and 15, second precept. Even as our beloved brother Paul, also according to the wisdom given unto him, has written unto you.
So he said this man had what? Wisdom. Okay, go ahead.
and also in all his epistles.
He said all his epistles, not some, but all of them. Go ahead.
Speaking to them of these things, in which are some things hard to be understood.
He said, man, that brother, man, he had some wisdom. And his books, his epistles were what? Hard to understand. Go ahead.
Which they that are unlearned and unstable reckon.
He said they twist. They don't know. Go ahead.
As they do also the other scriptures.
Okay, so now, go ahead.
Unto their own destruction.
Right, so did he esteem that brother? Yes, he did. And we all see this and don't understand and don't really pick this point that this brother exalted another brother better than himself. He said, man, this man wrote books hard to be understood. He said that wisdom was given unto him. He saw that. He saw that the Most High gave him that gift. Okay? So that's how we have to be when we have one with another. We don't be jealous one of another, envious one of another. We've got to see the Spirit of the Most High working with our brothers. Okay? Go ahead. Let's go back.
Back to Philippians chapter 2. In verse 4. Look not every man on his own things.
Right. Look not every man on his own things. So while we're going through this, what are we looking at? Read the next part.
But every man.
But every brother, go ahead.
Also on the things of others.
On the things of others. So we're going to be tending. We're going to be tending to each other. Okay? Because if you're not worried about yourself, and you actually is concerned about your brother, it's going to be a brother that's going to be concerned about you.